My intention is for this to be a very short video, but this comment really struck at the core of my being. This was under my last video, or is under my last video. And before I read it, I just want to ask you, are we free? I mean, we're Americans, right? Of course, we're in the land of the free, home of the brave, right? Or are we? An objective review says, police are trained that all citizens are a threat and are guilty of minimally some petty violation, and it's their job to herd, track, detain, harass, kidnap, abuse, and or unalive us at their pleasure. We've seen that time and time again in video after video. Not just to people who are resisting arrest, but to people like Daniel Shaver who are going out of their way to comply. People like Tyree Nichols, who literally did nothing wrong, and the jump out crew from Memphis taught him a lesson. They are shrouded and protected by qualified immunity, police unions, prosecutors, judges, and politicians as the collection arm of the government. Is that true or not? Is that true or false? Because if it's true, we got to do something about it. If it's false, we need to expose an objective review for peddling misinformation. Is it true? Whether it's your experience or not, what are you seeing? What are we seeing? What does the proof lend itself to? Are they really public servants, or are they out there acting like they're our masters? Is the Constitution really the supreme law of the land, or is it really traffic law that's the supreme law of the land? Because they use that as a justification to violate your rights. Where are you coming from? Where are you going? Do you have anything in the car I need to know about? Is there anything in your pockets that could poke me, stab me, prod me? Get out of your vehicle. That's a command. Pennsylvania versus Mem said you need to get out because what else trumps individual rights? All right, that's right. Officer safety. Same thing with Terry v. Ohio. Officer safety trumps individual rights. That's literally what the Supreme Court is saying in that court case. It doesn't matter about your right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects. It doesn't matter that you have the right to keep and bear arms, which shall not be infringed, even though we're going to come up and infringe. It's deprivation of rights under color of law, 28 U.S.C. 242, and conspiracy against rights. Are there conspiracies happening against us every moment of every day? And then an objective review says, if you think I'm wrong, stop paying taxes and see who comes knocking on your door to kidnap you, seize your belongings, and raid your accounts for more than you owe as a punishment. Wake up. You aren't free. You are cattle to them. And the proper term for us is indentured servants. Is that true or not? Because if it is, that's pretty alarming. That means a whole bunch of us here in America are living under the delusion and the illusion that we are free when in actuality we're not. What if you stop paying your property taxes? What happens to you and your property? You're evicted off of your own property. Oh, that's right. It's not your property because they own it, and you're paying rent to the landlords, and you're just a tenant. See, I make video after video. That's what I do. Other people make video after video, but to what end? How many videos do we have to make? How many videos do you and I have to watch and then not do anything? I'm speaking to me just as much as I'm speaking to you. What do? We are not outnumbered. In a sense, we aren't, but in another sense, we are, because Fake Stream CIA infiltrated Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra Media. Their whole plan is to propagandize you and to get us distracted, deceived, divided, demoralized, and dehumanized so they can conquer us. See, there's way more of us than there are of them. In the law enforcement class, there's like 8 to 950,000 law enforcement, and there's 321 million of us. You know, take the kids out of that equation because they can't really stand up for their rights yet. Let's say there's 160 to 170 million to less than a million. But we're so freaking distracted, deceived, and divided, we can't even get our heads out of our derrieres long enough to say, you know what? I'm sick of the federal authority stealing 40% of my freaking income. This is truly a question. This isn't rhetorical. What do we do? How do we affect change? How can we come together as one cohesive unit and say, nope, we got to get rid of the Internal Revenue Service. We've got to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We got to get rid of Congress, which is the opposite of progress, the Washington's district of criminals who steal our money and then give it to other nations? When are we going to say, hey, enough? It's enough. And let me just talk to you people who are agents for the IRS, or you are police officers. Are you really okay with putting your other fellow human beings under your thumb? Are you really okay with viewing us as guilty before we're even proven innocent? Are you really okay continuing to enforce the long failed and expensive $1 trillion drug war that literally creates a situation where you have human trafficking, looks like human trafficking, for the prison industrial complex? There's 1.8 million people incarcerated in federal, state, and local jails currently in the United States. I would call that incarceration nation. 1/5 of those are there for simple possession of fill in the blank, marijuana, whatever. 456,000 people are sitting in a cage right now simply because, not because they hurt somebody, not because they threatened to hurt somebody, not because they damaged property and refused to pay for it. They're only there because they possessed a drug the government didn't want them possessing. Incarceration nation. Are we really free with nearly 500,000 people sitting behind bars just for possession, not counting the other 1.75 million people? What are they in there for? You know, we know about the Kevin Strickland from, what is that, Kentucky? I can't remember what to say. I think it's Kentucky. He was accused back in the 70s of committing a triple homicide. They found out very shortly afterwards that not only did he not do it, but the people who actually did do it came forward and confessed to it. They each served 10 years. He was still in prison 43 years later. Kevin Strickland, that's one guy. We know about Schaefer Cox. We know he literally didn't do anything, and yet he's sitting in a CMU, a communications management unit in Terre Haute, Indiana. That's like solitary confinement for the worst of the worst, and he didn't even commit a crime. He's got a family. He's already served 9 to 10 years of a 26-year sentence for having done nothing, committed no crime. And that's just two of many, many people who are sitting behind bars, and they were innocent. That's not a justice system. That's an injustice system. So are we really free? And if we're not, what do we do about it? If we don't even own 100% of the product of our time and laboring energies, we're not free. There's a name for that. There's a term for that. It's called slavery. Seriously, what do we do? I'm pretty sick of making videos. I don't care how much money you've made, how much money you got sitting in your bank account, what kind of car you have in the garage, what kind of house that you have that's attached to that garage. I don't care how wealthy you are. What good does it do if we are not free? Freedom is everything. Freedom is life. We are far less free than we ever were as British colonists. I have to agree, historically speaking. So if the system is stacked against us, if the people who claim to be public servants are really our overlords and masters, if we really don't own any property and it can be taken from us and our account seized in the moment, in the blinking of an eye, IRS agents, please, I appeal to your humanity. Politicians, I appeal to your humanity. Share this video. I appeal to your humanity, law enforcement officials. Isn't it really about time that we just go after real criminals? Is that guy really a criminal because he wants to keep 100% of what he left his family and sacrifice his time and laboring energies to earn so he could put a roof over that family's head? So you could put food on their table, so you could put clothes on their backs. Isn't that really what life's all about? Do you really want to mess with that guy? Do you really want to knock on his door? Do you really want to seize his bank accounts? Do you really want to take his house from him? Do you really want to leave his family in dire straits? Is he really a criminal because he doesn't want to be stolen from? Let's call a spade a spade. Let's call things what they are. If taxation is not theft, if taking something from somebody that doesn't want that thing taken from them is not theft, then what is? Because that's what taxation is. And theft by any other name is still theft. The problem is when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men living together in society, They create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code which glorifies it, and then they propagandize it, and then all these people are out here calling for the chains of their own oppression called voting. Oh, I want this psychopath to rule me. Oh yeah, I don't like your psychopath. I want my psychopath to rule us. They don't call them psychopaths. They literally look at politicians like they're the saviors, and they're the worst of the worst that humanity has to offer. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they do the very things that we would call criminal. And yet they're politicians, and they get to rule over us with laws and rules and regulations and codes, and they say we violated this or violated that. How many tens of thousands of laws are there in the Federal Registry? I've lost count. Last time I thought it was like 78,000. You and I sitting here are breaking a law right now. And in their eyes, you breaking their laws, their codes, their ordinances, their regulations makes you a criminal. Are you really a criminal? Is it true that at 11:59, the night before Prohibition went into effect, that you were perfectly fine, and then when the clock struck 12, automatically you're a criminal because political parasites say you are? Is that really true? Or are we living in a fiction? The state will always be that great fiction by which everyone seeks to live at the expense of everyone else, and it's time to stop it. The question is, how do we do it? That's my rant. I appreciate everybody who views my videos. You know, we got to do something though. It doesn't matter how popular videos get or whatever. If we're just going to sit down on our butts and do nothing, leave your thoughts underneath. Seriously, what actionable thing can we do to change? Because it doesn't look like we can change the system from within. Doesn't look like the system is rehabilitatable from without. I'm really at a loss here. I don't have the answers. I mean, I think I have some answers. I know one answer is, hey, why don't we all follow the golden rule? Do you realize if we followed the golden rule, we wouldn't have the Department of Homeland Security? We wouldn't have TSA. We wouldn't have the DEA or the FBI or the CIA or the drug wars. We wouldn't have wars at all. We wouldn't have a dishonest fiat currency, petrodollar Ponzi scheme system, stealing our wealth through inflation, the hidden tax. We wouldn't have the domestic terror cell known as the IRS. I guess one of the things that we can do is use our voices and our platforms to appeal to the powers that probably shouldn't be, and ask them, or not even ask them, just appeal to their whatever humanity is left inside of them and say, you know what? Can you please just stop? I just want to live. I just want to be left alone. Why are you poking me? Why are you prodding me? Why are you stealing from me? Why are you threatening me? I just want to feed my family. I just want to live at peace. I want to sit down with my family at dinner. I don't want to have to work 3 jobs because the economy is imploding, because you ran up the bill and you're hyperinflating the M2 money supply. What do we do? What do we do? We're literally heading for a serious sheer cliff of destruction if we don't turn something around and do something. So I'm just at a loss. I don't know. Leave your comments, leave your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video.